Guys, it's Dana and it's time to talk about money. And in this video, I wanted to share some tips and tricks with you on how to pay off debt if you are living paycheck to paycheck. So let's get to it. Okay, so maybe you're budgeting and you are doing your absolute best to live below your means, to cut expenses, and you are trying to pay off debt and you are still feeling like you just cannot make a dent. Now, listen, you can be living paycheck to paycheck and be making $600,000 a year. I've been recently watching the Bering Sea gold mining TV show. Even if you're making $1 million, like these people, I mean, I know it's a show, but like they're stressed about unpaid bills and they're making like $1.1 million a year with, finding gold in the Bering Sea. So, I mean, you can be making a huge income, gross a huge amount of money, but still be stressed and living paycheck to paycheck, so to speak. So I don't think income is necessarily the problem. And I think that's important to think about as you're going through this process. So no matter how much money you make, I know it's like people don't want to hear that. They always want to hear like the more money you make. And yes, the more money you make, like possibly then you'll be in a better situation financially, but not necessarily, right? Like you can still be living paycheck to paycheck if you don't get your spending under control and lifestyle creep. So, and find a way to live below your means, way below your means, hopefully, so that way you can have a large buffer. But if we don't get our spending in order and our habits and our expectations of how we think we should be living, then it's never going to end, ever. We're always going to have struggles financially, no matter how much money we are making or earning or receiving or finding in the Bering Sea, right? So just keep that in mind, that it's this process of getting out of debt while you're living paycheck to paycheck should be about paying off the debt, but also about seeing how you can improve as far as your lifestyle and the way you live and how you spend the money that you are earning, right? Or have. So very important. Well, step one is to stop trying to fix everything at once, okay? Because then it's very easy to get completely overwhelmed. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that, and I just can't make it work. Just start with one change in your budget. You don't need a perfect budget. You just need to, maybe first step is to have a budget, to try to write down how much money is coming in, how much money is going out, and budget something, whether that's how much money you're spending on food, how much money you're spending on gas. Maybe you're just like, okay, for gas, we only can spend $30 a week. So we're going to try to really narrow down where we need to drive, the necessities versus where we want to drive, or maybe take some quicker routes. Just stop with the fluff. Try to combine trips. If you're doing something, try to do them together, so that way you don't have to go out and back so many times. So just something in your budget, something that is budgeted, that you have planned how much money you're going to spend for it, and you stick to it. Just one thing. Step two is to figure out what your survival number is. This means how much money do you actually need per month to survive? This is housing, this is your electricity costs, this is your food, their gas. How much money is the absolute bare minimum amount of money that you need to make ends meet month to month? This does not include Netflix subscriptions or going out to eat, to restaurants. All of that is not included in this survival number. Step three is to create your first $100 a month. And what I mean by this is that you want to gain $100 a month. You can meal plan. Just meal planning in itself will probably save you $100 a month, because you actually will have a plan on what you're going to eat from day to day. It'll minimize you going out and grabbing quick grab and go things at stores, so that'll reduce your costs. You can also call and try to negotiate some bills, negotiate your monthly payment, negotiate something to lower it to find your $100. Step four is to reduce the leaks in your overall life. Where are you leaking money that you don't need to be? Such as subscriptions. I feel like I say this over and over again, but subscriptions are huge. Almost everything now is a subscription. It is unbelievable. And there's very sneaky ways that they have of getting you to subscribe to something that you forget you even subscribed, and then you find out that you actually are paying some kind of monthly payment for something that you're not even using. Very common, whether it's, YouTube Music subscription, Netflix, Paramount, Hulu, I don't know, whatever else. YouTube Premium, that's a monthly subscription, one that I couldn't live without. However, that is a monthly subscription. Just make sure you actually know what it is you're paying for. So you want to plug up the holes to figure out where it is that money is just flying out that you are not even aware of. Step 5 is to pick your debt payoff method. Again, you have to have some kind of plan. Are you going to use debt snowball, debt avalanche, debt snowball? List all your debts, smallest to largest, paying off your smallest total balance debt first, moving up the list or down the list, however you want to look at it, to get rid of all of your debt. Avalanche is where you list all of your debts with the highest interest rate at the top, and you move down to lowest interest rate, paying off the debt with the highest interest rate first. It doesn't matter ultimately which plan you choose. The point is to choose one and list your debts out, and so that way you know who your target is, which debt is your first heavy hitter one that you are going after with a vengeance. Step 6 is to build a tiny emergency fund of some sort. $500, $1,000. I'm sure you've heard the stats over and over again. Most Americans can't cover a $1,000 emergency. So you want to have some kind of emergency fund to help prevent you from going further into debt if you do discover that you need something and it's an emergency. So have some kind of tiny emergency fund. So work on building that up before you start hammering away at your debt. You want to pay your minimums on your debt and get some kind of a tiny emergency fund built. If you need help on how to build that emergency fund, you can click the video here where I go over that. Increase your income temporarily. This is the next step. This one kind of sucks, but this is whether you can pick up overtime hours, pick up a second job. How can you increase your income in some way? Are you going to do some kind of side hustle online? Starting a YouTube channel is not one I would necessarily recommend. It doesn't really make a lot of money, especially when you first start out. But there's lots of different ways you can try to increase your income. Open an Etsy shop. I've done that. So you want to try to find some ways to boost the amount of money you have coming in. Step 8 is to make your debt payments automatic. Automatic. That way things just come out and you can't forget. You can't get bored and drift away and you just be like, man, I don't feel like doing this anymore. If it's automatic, it's just going. You've got it all set up. Then that way it's going to go. Whether you remember or not, then the payments are going. So if you can automate things, that's the best way to ensure that it's actually going to happen. This works with investing as well. Step 9 is to celebrate your success. You have to have some kind of celebration. You have to try to make it fun if you can. If it's not fun, you're not going to want to stick with it. And yes, it's not necessarily fun, but you can make it fun. You can make anything fun. Try to have a positive attitude about it. Look at it as a challenge. That really has always helped me the best with anything that I'm doing. If you have some kind of, I don't mean a spending celebration. Like you don't want to celebrate by going out and spending money, obviously, but there's got to be something that you can do. Give me your best idea. How do you celebrate paying off your debt? Leave it down below in the comments. Okay, and then this last step I think is very important, and it is to try to create some kind of hobby that you like to do that doesn't cost money. And I think that this is incredibly important. This is sort of about revamping your own habits and your lifestyle so that way you don't end up back in debt again. And so I feel like especially when you're paycheck to paycheck, it's like it's very easy to feel like a lot of anxiety and to feel exasperated with the whole situation and somewhat depressed or, unhappy. And then it's very easy to just be like, forget it. I'm just going to go pay to go out to eat with my friends, or I'm going to go shopping to kind of self-soothe because you're feeling like upset about the whole situation in general. And so I think it's important to try to develop some kind of habit or hobby that is not expensive. So whether that is gardening, maybe you want to get really into fitness, find something that you can kind of really additionally obsess over other than just paying off debt. And that, like I said, could be your fitness level. You're going to start jogging, maybe sign up for a 5K. And I did that. I signed up for multiple 5Ks and then eventually I ended up doing a 15K. So you want to try to find something that you can do that is a positive thing, obviously, that doesn't cost money, that will help you to think about something other than the money. So running in itself or some kind of cardiovascular activity, whether it's biking, whatnot, I think that it does help you to manage the whole stress of getting out of debt because you are, getting healthier, but then also gives you that side focus of something to think about, and it'll help to release that dopamine in your brain. So that way you can kind of just feel in a better mood overall. So if it's not fitness related, that's fine. Maybe something else. Maybe you want to do some kind of reading challenge, go to the library, take out a bunch of books, read a certain number of books within a certain time frame. Maybe the time frame that takes you to get out of debt, if you're going to read 100 books within that same time frame. I think it's really important when you're getting out of debt to have, and you're living paycheck to paycheck, to have some other type of form of entertainment style that is good for your body, good for your mind, helps you to feel good, and helps you to feel as if you're improving something that's not related to money. You get me? So that way you have this side thing to be thinking about. Okay, so if you are taking part, it's now time for the investing challenge. Okay, for those of you who are following along, we are investing $1 a week into the stock market. Every week there's a new stock, and you can obviously, and you should, do all your own research. Remember, I am not an investment advisor. I am not your investment advisor, so do all your own research, and please invest in whatever you feel is the best thing for you, not necessarily what I am saying here. Okay, so the stock pick for this week for the challenge is a cruise ship. Okay, so I have never been on a cruise, and I'm kind of afraid to, and cruise ships are very up and down as far as an investment, but I have a theory. The cruise ship industry has, gone through a lot of ups and downs, but a lot of them now are like developing their own private islands to stay at, and because it's like an all-inclusive style, vacationing, it's like it seems to be booming in popularity. And so I find it interesting. I feel like it's going to be a tremendous industry, I feel, in the future, especially possibly if people have a lot more free time. But anyway, so there's a couple different ones you could do: Norwegian, Carnival, Royal Caribbean. I think Royal Caribbean is the best one. It's also the most expensive per share. But so I'm just going to do $1 into Royal Caribbean. But you can select a different cruise if you want. If you don't want to do a cruise ship, you could select something else. There's other stocks out there, other ETFs related to the travel industry. So I'd say for this week, the theme is the travel industry. So whether you want to invest, I guess in an airline, but I'm doing the cruise industry. Also those different, resorts. You could also do Disney, I guess, if you wanted to do that. So something travel, luxury, not necessarily luxury, but just, free time travel, something people will do in their leisure time. That's what we should say. All right. So that's it. If it's your first time here, you guys, be sure to subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.